I never had that thought that there is help out there. I just thought I have to do more. I was never my real self. I was always putting on this image. I saw people around me were successful, and I saw, okay, they're successful because they're always putting on an act.
Once you truly understand how subconscious communication works, your wife could feel your resentment. Your wife could feel the unspoken criticism and judgment. Just because you know about it doesn't mean it's not there. That's like somebody saying, I know I'm hungry, so I'm not going to be irritated. You can still be very irritated, even though you know you're hungry. It's important for men to understand it's not just about understanding yourself, it's about understanding yourself in a way that actually makes deep-rooted changes in your personality. So when you walk into the room, or even when you pick up the phone, your wife feels the difference.
I was completely lost then, but I wish I wasn't so broken. I wish my marriage cancer wasn't so bad. The rewiring I was talking about earlier would have been a much easier process. I would have caused much less pain to my wife, my children, and everyone around me, just because I didn't really understand what was going on. I was really hurt. Why am I putting in so much hard work trying to do the list that you talk about? And it wasn't bringing any results. And I just thought I had to do more. I started attaching. I couldn't internalize anything. I couldn't even internalize relationships or internalize friendships or get support or get anything deep because I had these walls that I put up.
We were in the middle of a conversation about therapy and triggers and communication. You were explaining, even though you understood the triggers, it wasn't actually giving you the tools of what to do differently as a result of them.
So the thing that I started not liking about therapy or realizing now was the therapy, it was turning me into someone who was blaming and giving me excuses. Like, why, oh, these people are triggering. I don't have to work on myself. I don't have to change myself. I don't have to grow. And therapy was just blaming child, blaming this, blaming that. And going into this coaching program, I realized that the best thing for me is now that I don't have to worry about triggers. They don't bother me anymore. It's a difficult process of growth and it's painful. But the beauty of being on the other side of it is that the same triggers don't bother me, right? I'm so over it, like more detached. I don't know how to explain it, like more zoomed out that I could see the world around me. I can actually see what's going on. I'm not busy trying to defend myself from things that would trigger me. I'm more able to be me and communicate. That process of rewiring the brain is a process that takes time. And that's the beauty of the program. I wanted results right away. The
We all
beauty
do.
is seeing yeah, we all want quick results. It's part of where we are now, seeing
It's called a microwave marriage.
and that's the sad part. There's a lot of people looking for quick fixes and doing this and doing that. And there is no quick fix here.
I have to say, sometimes there is a quick fix. I've seen quick fixes happen sometimes. Guys come into the program and a couple of days later they have these phenomenal results, but it's shallow. It's not deep enough to actually sustain itself on its own. So, for example, in a situation where the woman is very vulnerable, she's very dependent on the man financially, emotionally, or she has a background of abuse. The moment he makes some changes, she completely goes all the way in a very positive way. It's actually misleading because that is not a reflection of the man's change. He's maybe just implemented 3% of the training that we teach. It was just the result of her relief at seeing some change, and then he procrastinates and gets lazy, and then she feels taken advantage of. So they end up going through the cycle of disconnect, frustration, and animosity, and it actually gets worse because every time a woman opens her heart and it closes again, it closes actually tighter. It gets more difficult to open her heart again. And the thing you said about you don't have to worry about triggers once you truly understand how subconscious communication works, to give guys some practical ideas and help, because it's not just about the theory, it's about the practical part of it. If a guy knows he has a lot of anger in him, you can know you're angry and understand the damage that your subconscious anger has on your wife. Your wife could feel your resentment. Your wife could feel the unspoken criticism and judgment. Just because you know about it doesn't mean it's not there. It doesn't reverse itself just because you know about it. That's like somebody saying, I know I'm hungry, so I'm not going to be irritated. You can still be very irritated, even though you know you're hungry, because it's a very deep reality inside your body, inside your psyche. I think it's important for men to understand when we talk about understanding yourself. It's not just about understanding yourself, it's about understanding yourself in a way that actually makes changes, automatic, deep-rooted changes in your personality. So when you walk into the room, or even when you pick up the phone, your wife feels the difference. I am interested, though, you mentioned earlier in the interview about how being Amazing Marriage Fast Track helped you connect the dots on a religious level. And even for the people watching this who are not Jewish, I think they'll understand that, even if you give some examples. If you don't mind to share a little bit about what do you mean by connecting the dots? How did the understanding of your inner cat and your identity help you have a better relationship with your own religion?
I would need to zoom out on that for a second because it's relationships in general, right? I was always never my real self, right? I was always putting on this image, right? I saw people around me were successful, and I saw, okay, they're successful with friends or in life or whatever because they're always putting on an act, like they're acting a certain way or they're showing themselves a certain way. And for me, the world around me, I started attaching more and more, and even religion or God or anything else, it was these ideas. Okay, this is what you have to do. This is how this matrix of the world works. You have to go through this thing. But it was religion and God wasn't something internal. I couldn't internalize anything. I couldn't even internalize relationships or internalize friendships or get support or get anything deep because I had these walls that I put up with my inner cat or defenses or traumas. They were blocking myself from feeling or connecting on any level. So religion and God was this external thing. It was never something that I can be a true part of me inside. It's like I understood it. It made sense rationally. And I was trying to connect and study and grow and everything, but it wasn't part of me. I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't me. I didn't feel like it was a part of who I am inside, like my essence. And going through this program and breaking away the inner cat from running a lot of what was going on in my life, my reality, it's not a pain-free process, but removing that veil allowed me to really see God and feel God and connect and see the beauty of the world, see things like I wouldn't even know that I couldn't even enjoy music. I didn't listen to music. Everything wasn't enjoyable to me anymore. The whole world was blocked off. I was in so much pain and so much disconnect. I didn't want to see what was going on in my life. I was like an addict, putting up these walls, running away, running my addictions, running away and not being me, not living my life, living life for others or making others around me happy. That was the thing. And the process of removing these walls that were around my heart, around parts of my personality, my conscious personality, my subconscious personality, it's been a phenomenal transformation. It brought so much life into my life. It's something I can't even know the right words to say. It's such a deep change. It's something that I always heard about and read about, but now I internalize it. I'm reading the same books, just the regular Chumash, the Bible. You connect to the people who are actually there. Like I can actually connect to the stories. I can actually connect to things on a much deeper level, understanding God, understanding the universe, understanding all these things that I always was searching for, but I was getting rational answers and not emotionally connecting.
And I think a lot of men would understand what you're saying, even though it's a bit deep. Another way of saying it is like you may have been doing the religion in terms of the acts, the practices, but it wasn't working for you. It wasn't actually giving you the relief, the happiness, the connection, the energy, the clarity, and the confidence that you needed. So you believed in it, but it's almost as if God didn't believe in you, or you felt something like that, where there's another angle at it. Like it wasn't actually giving you the juice you were hoping to get from it. Not because there's anything wrong with it inherently, but because of the things in you that were blocking it, such as the addictions, which is one of the things that we focus on.
It's removing that block. I was going through the motions. Like I would pray every day. And it was just like this thing I would do. You wake up, you brush your teeth, and I would pray. It wasn't like something. Now, when I pray like now, it energizes me for the whole day. It's the same thing that I did for years and years, and nothing really changed except me internally. And now I can get that connection. I was using an outlet that wasn't fitting, doing all the same things, but it's different.
Absolutely. You shared with me a few times your passion for it is you wish you had this earlier in your marriage. Can you elaborate on what you mean and what your message is to other men who may be going through similar things, maybe not as intense as you because they have earlier marriage cancer?
I didn't know that there are such type of programs, right? I didn't know that I can come to AMFT. I didn't know that I can join a program where I can grow and fix my relationship by working on myself. A lot of it is working on myself and studying and growing and learning and writing and thinking. If I would have had this years ago, like if I already felt the earlier stages of marriage cancer, as you talk a lot about that, and I just didn't know how to deal with it, right? I didn't, no one in my life, none of my friends or none of the things that I was getting information from, I had access to it. And my message is, guys, listen, you all deserve a happy, loving marriage. You guys are all awesome. Each one of you is awesome. And I believe in you guys. And I don't know what you're going through or what you're feeling, but there is an answer out there. And you shouldn't be afraid to go and find the courage to get out of your comfort zone and just reach out and speak to David. I reached out to him in the first message. I was completely lost then, but I wish I wasn't so broken. I wish my marriage cancer wasn't so bad because it would have been much easier the rewiring I was talking about earlier would have been a much easier process. I would have caused much less pain to my wife, my children, and everyone around me, just because I didn't really understand what was going on. I wasn't fully there. Just because I didn't figure it out. It's not something, unfortunately, that's taught in society or in schools. And this is a very unique program with a very cool structure. I wasn't sure about certain parts of it. Like I was afraid to join the group sessions, embarrassed or shy. It's so valuable. It's so powerful. Like every part of this thing is so powerful. And not only that, guys, I am ADHD and dyslexic, and studying and reading and writing is a very difficult thing for me. Since starting this program, I've refound my love for music, and I listen to music every day. It's amazing. I haven't listened to music for years. I always thought it was a waste of time. I got to listen to podcasts. I got to grow, audiobooks, lectures. Now I love music. I love my life. I love myself. I don't feel guilty going out with my friends. I don't feel guilty doing something fun for me. You guys deserve that. So there's a great place out here. It's scary to get out there and try something new, try something different, especially if it's not something in our inner circle and you're seeing this online. But that's how I got here. I saw videos online. A lot of the stuff you were saying was just resonating with me. I was like, okay, that's what's going on. Like the video out there with the marriage cancer and explaining what it is, and that all my energy. I was always hurt. I was really hurt. Why am I putting in so much hard work trying to do the list that you talk about? It wasn't bringing any results. And I just thought I had to do more and more. It was draining everything I had until there was nothing left. And guys, that those are all just symptoms to marriage cancer, right? We got to, like David says in his videos, you got to hit the problem at the core. And all of you guys can do this. It's for the people who want to grow, who want to be the best version of themselves, who want to have happy homes. And it's amazing. It's a transformation that I never dreamt was possible.
I think you said it better than I could have said it myself. You're speaking from your personal experience. Although I have my personal experience going into this as well, it's been a number of years since I had to face that and live through that. But I want to hear from your perspective. When you say you kind of felt the marriage cancer earlier on, now that you know what it is, how long ago was the first time you felt it? Were you like, I need help, but they ignored that little warning sign?
So to answer your question direct, it's been over 5 years, maybe 6 or 7 years. But the real thing is I never had that thought that I need help. I never had that thought that there is help out there. I just thought I have to do more.
You're saying in retrospect, based on what you know now, if you go back in time, it was 5 years ago where you kind of felt that, oh my gosh, my effort is not working, but you didn't realize that was a problem. You just felt like you needed to do more.
I felt that stuff wasn't working, but I didn't know that you, first of all, I didn't know that you could reach out for help, and it's normal. It's normal to go to a coach, just like you go to a coach for working out, just like you go to a coach for singing, for music, like we said, presidents, sports. Anyone who goes and wants to grow in any aspect gets a coach who guides them to be the best version of themselves, right? Whether it's any profession, business, anything, speaking, communication, there's coaches for everything out there. And there's coaches for marriages. And if you guys feel and you love the person you're with and want a beautiful, warm home, and you want to have a great relationship and endless love and happiness, don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help and guidance. It's absolutely fine. It's normal. It's healthy. It's part of life. This is a confidential program. Everything that goes on is confidential. And being around a group of guys that are going through the same struggle as you is extremely helpful. Initially, I was holding myself back from doing it. I was afraid. I was embarrassed. I was shy. That aspect of the program, now looking back, it's the changes I got from it, the growth, the understanding, realizing, like, it helped me realize there are a lot of people out there struggling, and it's not your fault. Life happened to you and you just didn't figure this part out. There's coaches out there who'll help you figure it out, and you'll be amazing at it. If I would have known about it, and that's why I would love to share it, and I'll keep sharing it, because I really think that the world needs a little bit more light now. The world's going through a hard time, and listen, the world starts in our homes, in our relationships, and we can do it. We can do it one step at a time.
You know, ultimately, the safety that our kids have, the confidence that we want them to have, the emotional well-being, very much reflection of the love that they get at home, and the stability as well in the emotional relationship between their mother and father. And it's true that there are a lot of guys, especially with early stage marriage cancer. I want you to speak about it. I'm putting you on the spot. I mean, none of these questions were planned, but we have these group Q&As. We have like a half a dozen guys or so, and every now and then, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little less. Most of the guys are actually not from our same faith tradition. They're religious, but they're not Jewish. And I've had guys who are reluctant to join those Q&As, like yourself, and for the reasons you just said, are like, oh, they want the privacy. although that's confidential, they feel like they'll gain more just from talking to me without interacting with the other men. Reflecting on those Q&A sessions, which we have every Monday and Thursday, reflecting on what you've learned from watching these other guys who are really on a religious level and a spiritual level, come from a very different orientation than me and you. I know you gained a lot from those interactions. What would you say to somebody who says, I want just a program that's 100% Jewish? I think that's where I'm going to thrive. I don't see what there's to be gained from speaking with other men who might be going through the same thing as me, but they don't have the exact same religious flavor. How would you respond, having gone through it, understanding where that concern is coming from, but seeing the tremendous benefit on being on those Q&A calls?
So I'll say honestly, a lot of what you're saying and a lot of the stuff in the program has to do with deep spiritual things, not really religious things, but historical ideas and concepts. We have thousands of years of religion, and there's a lot of knowledge there. And I was reading a lot of books on this, and I listened to lectures. All that I did. None of that actually helped me. None of that actually helped me. And the fact that I'm on these calls with guys who are going through the same exact struggles as me, and realizing that it's nothing to do with the level of my Yiddishkeit or my religiosity or my connection to God, but on a completely different level, not about me following certain rules or procedures. It was really many other things. Like you realize, one second, we're men. I'm a man who's struggling with an issue in a marriage. Half the planet is men, and they're all the same. We're all made out of the same thing, right? It's literally the same thing. And off this, I'll use something I heard from a rabbi in Florida saying that there's four levels. There's the material world, there's the growing stuff that eat minerals and stuff, and then there's animals that eat the growing worlds and minerals, and then there's humans. The problem is we got to grow out of the stage of just following instincts and putting up walls and reacting and being detached humans. We're all humans. We can all learn how to be detached. We can all reach our greatest potential. And being on a call with other men, it doesn't make a difference what their faith is or their background. And they're all across America. Some of them serve in the military. Some of them work in this. Some of them work in that. And it's cool realizing, hey, this is absolutely normal. Like, this is okay. Part of my issue is I always thought deep inside something was wrong with me. Something I was doing was wrong. Sometimes I thought something and my wife was wrong. All these things I thought. And then we're like, whoa, this is normal. People struggle through this. And if you want to grow, and if you want a better relationship, and if you want to achieve that, there's a way, there's a path. And it works for all men from all different heights, sizes, shapes, IQs, languages, accents. It doesn't make a difference. It works. You could just go for it. You just got to get onto this path. It's a journey of growth that you just have to go step after step. It gets hard because a lot of times the little inner cat is telling you, quit, it's never going to work out, this, that, a million different excuses. And if you see yourself going through and you look back, the next 1 week could be rough or 1 day could be rough. The next day you look back, you're like, whoa, I was through that. It was fun. It was just emotions. I blocked all my emotions because I just didn't want to deal with them. Then you realize, 1 second, I labeled these emotions as bad, but they're not bad. It's just a wave. You're going through this wave, you're going through that wave. It's fine. You just figure out how to deal with these waves. And once you actually have access to your emotions, it gives you so much more power to achieve all these great things and be the real you and have amazing relationships. Like I said, with God, my kids, my friends, at work. It's just all things that bother me, scared me, triggered me, whether it's anger, fear, insecurities, shame, guilt. It's like there's a bunch of guys out there dealing with similar issues. It's totally fine. And many times I'm dealing with my issue, but some guy is asking his own question and getting an answer from David. And it gives me so much clarity. Sometimes seeing people go through the same struggle is so helpful because you get to zoom out. It's not the problem is when we struggle, it's so emotional, so close to heart. We can't zoom out. We can't see the picture. Like if we were able to just zoom out, we're like, 1 second, bro, just take a right turn here. You'll figure it out. The answer's right here. We know it. But because it's so close to heart, because it's so much emotion and so much inside on our thoughts and our emotions, that zooming out is really what helps. Seeing other people grow and try and achieve, and they're also struggling just like I'm struggling, and it works out. They do something, they try this, they try that, and it works 80%, 90%, 50%, and you're like, okay, well, it works for me 50%. Also, it's part of the steps. It's growth. You can't, like David says in his trainings a lot, you don't lose 100 pounds overnight. It's a process, right? If a person wants to get into shape after not working out for years and letting himself go, it's the same thing here. If I let my emotions go and I bury them deep down, and I have this marriage cancer that I let grow and grow and grow, then it just takes time, and it's just not quitting. And the team effort is phenomenal. There's also support chat. In the beginning, I was staying away from all that, and breaking out of that barrier was amazing. David has this great way of working. It's like it's not pushing. It's just slowly as you're comfortable, soft demeanor, speaking. It's not like drill sergeant. That's not the type of coaching you're getting. No one's screaming at you. It's your growth, your path, just with the right guidance, with the right tools, with the right thing. And it's amazing because sometimes you want to go very quick, and sometimes you want to slow down, and sometimes you want to go even quicker. And it's beautiful. It works for your pace. It's just a phenomenal thing. And the group aspect of it. Initially, I didn't join, I think, for the first 2 weeks because I really felt uncomfortable. I thought I didn't need this. I want to have the videos, the training, the modules. I can talk to David. I don't need all that. And then I realized, woof, I actually do need it. There's a lot of power in it. This was all really well thought through. The whole program was all thought through. And I wanted results right away. I'm like, okay, let me just double speed this. I'll put in 5 hours a day. In 1 week, I'll be done. I'll marathon this, like studying the night before an exam. It'll get done, but it's not the way. The path is, it's the slow and steady path. A lot of us want to change our lives. A lot of us want to grow. And part of this program really helps us figure out, okay, how do we make commitments? How do we keep commitments? How do we do this? What was stopping us? It's phenomenal.
A lot of guys don't understand. Why can't you just tell me what to tell my wife? We tell you that too. But the problem is, if you don't change, everything you're going to use is going to end up looking manipulative and hypocritical. It's going to be seen as inauthentic, quite frankly. And so therefore, I can give you the best words, the best script, and we will. But if you don't actually align to become the type of person that can use that script, that actually won't be a service towards you and your wife. So it does take time, like Chaim said. It does require commitment. It does require consistency, because the last thing you want to do is get your wife's hopes up and then dash them again. That's where a lot of the marriage cancer gets worse, is when every time the woman starts believing and trusting and hoping and thinking, okay, my husband's getting it, and then he confirms that he really didn't get it. If you could see what's going on behind the scenes in a woman's heart, it's actually pretty devastating. And it's being devastating towards the husband as well. I like to give the example of, you mentioned the group coaching. It's kind of like you're going through Manhattan, a place of big, tall buildings. If you don't have a GPS, you don't look at the street signs, and you don't have a helicopter guiding you, it feels overwhelming because you feel stuck wherever you are. Versus if you had a helicopter view, you can say, hey, buddy, just go straight, make a left, the river's right there. Suddenly, it's like, when you see somebody else going through it, because there's a certain element of where it's depersonalized, but at the same time it is personal because you're going through your own marriage transformation journey. You watch somebody else, what happens is you see, why did you say that to your wife? You should have said this. You yourself will come up with better solutions because you're not part of the drama of that particular person's problem, which is then something you can look at yourself and say, hey, why didn't I do that either? I applied the same wisdom I easily have available for someone else. What would happen to my life and to my wife if I applied it to me? And I've seen this be a big challenge, and it's really worth elaborating on, because the Q&As are the real goal. That's where the customized strategic support kicks in. That's when you truly get the hands-on experience of what you should or shouldn't say, what did or didn't work, and how to package it, how to make the changes for yourself, and how to then present those changes to your wife. And they're incremental. It's not like a one-time thing. Say this to her. It's like, say this to her, and in a week say this, and 2 weeks later you say that. And that's why it does take some time. Ideally, it should take time. You don't want it to go fast. You don't want it to be an overnight thing, because that would mean those changes weren't deep-rooted, and that you don't have a solid foundation for that. If final thoughts over here, what would you say to your kids if they watch this video? If they ever watch this video, what would you want to tell them?
I'll tell them that I love them, that they're amazing, and that it's been one of the most beautiful parts of this program was seeing the changes that are happening in me reflect in my children. Seeing me happier, seeing that reflect in them being happier, seeing me accepting myself and starting to love myself. They literally reflect that. They start loving themselves more. They start being more happier, more friendlier. I mean, it's phenomenal. And I would tell them I'm happy I'm doing this program. I hope it's going to make their lives better. And if they see this, best of luck with everything. And if you're ever struggling, reach out to me, reach out to coach, ask for help. Don't do what I did and just pushed it off for years and let problems grow. You have a problem in front of you, tackle it head on. You guys have the courage. I believe in you guys. That's what I'll tell them.
And I'll say a similar thing. If you're driving on flat tire, it usually does not reinflate itself by itself. And when you've put your heart into your marriage, I'm not talking about a guy who's been selfish so long and just completely self-absorbed. Let's call it narcissistic behavior. I'm talking about somebody who's tried or has been trying to turn it around. He knows if his effort is working or not. When you get to that point, you're hitting that wall, understand that by continuing to hit that wall, you're not staying in the same place. Behind the scenes, your marriage is actually getting worse. The marriage cancer is deteriorating and eating up your positive energy. It's building those marriage cancer cells where your good effort is actually going to feed the tumor, just by analogy. I hate it, but it's the only way for guys to understand that. Reach out, get the help. If you don't want it to be me for whatever reason, you feel my program is too intense or too scary, find somebody, but don't just find the guy who's the easiest on you. Find somebody who you absolutely feel comfortable with, you trust, and you feel like he understands you. He has a path forward. It makes sense step by step. And you're going to be coachable and humble and tell him when you made a mistake implementing his guidance. Reach out for help. Don't just tell him 4 weeks later that you screwed up 4 weeks ago. Step up for your life, for your wife, for your kids, because it usually does not get better on its own. Don't wait to the point that it moves towards separation. Don't wait to the point that your wife is showing interest in another man. Don't wait to the point that one or both of you have already gotten so stuck in tragic addictions that you now have a new set of complications to deal with besides the marriage itself. Don't wait to the point that your wife spoke negatively about you to so many people that it's hard for her to change her mind because of the things she said to others. The marriage cancer really goes in 4 stages, and we have other videos explaining it, but it really is something that owe it to yourself. If you're 25, 30, 40, you don't have to wait till you're 55, 60, like some of my clients come in after the second or third marriage ends. You don't have to wait that long, because the most precious asset that we have is really our time and what we do with our time. So having said that, I just want to take a moment to thank you, Chaim, for your time, and appreciate you making the effort and initiating this conversation and sharing your journey. I hope you stay safe in Ukraine. We're going to keep trucking along, working on your personal transformation, your marriage transformation. And God willing, I look forward to interviewing you again to give people the follow-up on what's been happening, possibly in a couple of months from now, and hopefully a bright new chapter for the guys watching.